Welcome to the museum. This is an ancient oddity. On March 28, 193 AD, the Roman Empire was sold at auction to the highest bidder. The transaction took place outside the walls of the Praetorian camp in Rome. The sellers were the emperor's own bodyguards. The buyer was a wealthy senator named Didius Julianus, who had never commanded an army or governed a province of consequence. The emperor Pertinax had been dead for hours. His body still lay where the Praetorian Guard had left it, inside the imperial palace. He had ruled for 86 days. His crime was attempting to restore discipline, to pay the guard less, to demand they earn their loyalty rather than purchase it. They had answered with swords. Rome had no emperor. For the first time in the city's history, the throne stood empty, not by assassination meant to install a successor, but by murder meant to create a market. The Praetorian Guard barred the gates of their camp and waited. They were not looking for a leader, they were looking for a customer. Word spread through the city. 2 men came to bid. One was Titus Flavius Sulpicianus, the father-in-law of the murdered emperor, the urban prefect of Rome, a man who stood at the walls of the camp and called out his offer. The other was Didius Julianus, who arrived at the urging of his wife and daughter, who told him the empire could be his if he simply paid more than his rival. The auction was conducted by shouting. Sulpicianus stood outside the camp. Julianus stood at a different section of the wall. The Praetorians moved between them, relaying bids, raising the price. Each man offered a sum per soldier. The numbers climbed. 5,000 denarii per man, 6,000, 7. There were approximately 10,000 Praetorians. The empire was being divided into shares. Julianus offered 25,000 denarii per soldier. Sulpicianus could not match it. The gates opened. Didius Julianus, a senator of 60 years who had never sought the throne, was escorted into the camp and proclaimed emperor of Rome. The transaction was complete. The Senate, that ancient body which had once held the authority to make and unmake kings, convened and ratified the choice. They had no army. The Praetorians did. The senators voted yes. Julianus ruled for 66 days. The legions in the provinces refused to acknowledge him. To them, he was not an emperor. He was a receipt. 3 rival generals declared themselves rightful rulers. Civil war consumed the empire. Septimius Severus marched on Rome with his legions from Pannonia. The Praetorian Guard, who had sold the throne, did not fight to keep it. They abandoned Julianus. The Senate condemned him to death. He was executed alone in the palace by a common soldier. His last words, according to the histories, were to ask what evil he had done. No one answered him. Severus disbanded the Praetorian Guard that had auctioned Rome. He replaced them with his own men, loyal to him, drawn from the frontier legions. The guard that had stood beside emperors since Augustus was dissolved. The institution had survived for 2 centuries. It did not survive becoming merchants. The year of the 5 emperors ended with Severus victorious. He ruled for 18 years. But the precedent was set. The empire was not sustained by virtue, or law, or the favor of the gods. It was sustained by whoever could pay the soldiers. Rome would have 50 emperors over the next 92 years. Most would die violently. The auction of 193 AD was not an anomaly. It was a forecast. Didius Julianus left no monuments, no reforms, no legacy except this. He was the man who proved the empire had a price. The Praetorians had not destroyed Rome by selling it. They had simply revealed what it had already become. In this exhibit, you are standing at the moment when power stopped pretending to be sacred. The marble is silent. The transaction is complete.